happy bunnies and hip-hoppity things. We're going to talk a lot about all our little Easter symbols today. So you guys feel free to nosh on all the sugary candy. If you get all wound up on sugar and you can't help yourself, you just need to holler stuff out, I'm okay with that. We're going to go with it. We'll make sure, we'll pretend it's an improv class, and I'll just say yes and we'll add right on. But Dave brought some sugar and Travis brought some cupcakes and his daughter. Welcome. And I threw a few extra little sugary things on the table, and we've just got, who else? More things. You also brought cookies, didn't you, Travis? So just a note, do not eat the little black pebbles over here. They're part of our ceremony. I saw Pam eyeing them. She was about to throw some back and test if it was chocolate or licorice, but no, they're stones, and we'll just leave them on the table for now. We'll explain it. Russ will give you an overview of our plan for the sacred ceremony in just a moment. So let's just get settled in for a quick second. Together, let's take a deep breath in. Pause at the top and then slowly release that breath. And now together, let's take another deep breath. Just pull that air up from your toes, or maybe even the center of the earth. Just breathe it in. And release. We just bring ourselves into this moment, connecting with one another, becoming present to this special day. We've all come here today with our own agenda, our own intention. But the unspoken and the given in the circumstances, that we have all come here, each one of us, both to be a blessing and to receive a blessing. For this privilege, for this opportunity, for this moment in time, we simply say thank you. Thank you, thank you, and so it is. Okay, so Easter is upon us. Was the Easter bunny good to everybody? Did you get something besides some little pellets or something? Did you get some nice chocolate bunnies, or maybe not? I don't know if anybody has. Hey, I want to tell y'all, last week, if you were here, you know, or you watched online, I called out that my niece came, and my niece came because her son came, and her son came because of Dylan and Ashley playing music. And he's a quiet guy, my great nephew, and he commented to his mom later about something that I said. And I said, you know, how did he like being here? And she said, well, he just had one comment, and, you know, not personal or anything, not a criticism, right. But he said he didn't agree with what I said about God being all good all the time. And I thought, I did say that. I'm sure I did, because I don't always remember what I say. But that's not true. He's right. That energy in the universe that we call God is neutral until acted upon by our thoughts, by our beliefs, by our actions. And then, because of the law of resonance, the law of vibration, we're putting that out into that field we call God. Then God becomes good. And if that's your belief, and it is my belief. So for me, God is good all the time. Even when I'm unhappy, it's like, okay, I'm in this moment and these are my feelings, but I know there's something more. I know I can find the good, because that's my belief. But if you haven't adopted that belief, it's not true for you. So I just wanted to clarify based on his input, because input is important, and we need to be able to adapt languaging Because sometimes people come into unity and we're all like positive and la 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 la, and it's annoying as hell for people. They're like, stop it! They don't like it. They just are tired of it because they don't get it. They haven't quite adopted that belief for themselves. So it's not resonating. And that's okay. And I'm not saying that's how he is. He's a very sweet guy. But I changed the words of our opening, and this is not something that's going to be ongoing, but Russ did it one time, so I took license. And we'll discuss in the board meeting. We got all 3 board members here. Maybe we'll discuss it shortly. But whether or not we actually want to change it. But I changed the word good to all. So let's say this together. It's not showing up very well. There's only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God, the all, the omnipotent. And then I thought, well, omnipotence, only one of the omnis, so I didn't go down that road, because then we'll be editing and editing and editing. But how do you feel about that, God, the all? You like the all? It's, you can give us your feedback, Dave and Russ and I, and Jeannie's not here today. She is with her grandbaby and her daughter, and her son flew in, and they all went to her daughter's church for, I can imagine how adorable that little girl is. In her Easter frillies. Yes, with her probably a petticoat. We can just imagine. She'll probably have to show us some pictures. She's speaking next week, so hopefully she'll give us some pictures. But do you remember the patent leather Mary Jane's? I got those. That's how old I am, Mary Jane's. And we always got a new dress for Easter. So that back when girls wore dresses. But anyway, thanks for indulging me on that. So I don't know if it's your first time. Is it your first time? No. I don't think we have. Is it first time? No. No first timers today. But you know what? We welcome them when we get them. So we're happy when they come. So if you're out there thinking about coming in, come on in, because we're waiting on you. So let's shift a moment and focus on prayer. Unity was founded on prayer. And prayer is just an important part of life. Not the begging and beseeching prayer, but the prayer that Jesus, the way shower, the master teacher, showed us how to claim truth, how to know for ourselves and for others that higher point of view, that higher consciousness, and to claim the good. So we will take a moment and pray together, but you can always submit. We have a prayer chest up here. You can submit online. You can call. If you've never called directly to Silent Unity, I encourage you to do that. It's the most beautiful experience. I've listened, I've called myself plenty of times, but I've also listened in when I've been up there on some of the prayer. You don't know who it is that they're talking to, but when the prayer associates are listening and then they begin to pray in an affirmative way, you can tell when it sinks into that person. Because then all of a sudden there's like, they just feel enveloped by the truth of prayer. And again, we are calling upon, we're activating in that field of energy we call God, the all, the good in my mind. But we're calling on that to work on our behalf. It doesn't matter what our prayer request is about or who it's for. So let's just join together. Again, let's take a deep breath and release. The breath connects us mind, body, and spirit, and it connects us in this moment one with another. And we know when we join in consciousness and in truth, there's nothing on the other side of that but a positive response, an absolute yes to whatever it is. So in this moment, if you have something on your mind, you can send it forth from your heart, even if you haven't written it down. we include that regardless of the topic. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be big. It could be small. It could be relationship, health, well-being, finances. Every request gets the same resounding response. And in this moment, we claim truth. We claim good. And we say thank you. And so it is. Amen. Okay, so Rev Russ is going to come and share the daily word.
The daily word heading today is arise. And the affirmation is, I rise to accept new life and renewal. Won't you repeat that with me together? I rise to accept new life and renewal. Jesus rose above all limitations, transcending darkness to light, and death to new life. His overcoming death is the ultimate inspiration and example for humankind, a precious gift of hope and renewal. This Easter, I gratefully accept my renewal as I awaken to the call of the divine. I turn to the Christ presence within me and discover new life and energy, lifting me into higher awareness and understanding of the truth of the... Let's do that again. It says, I turn to the Christ presence within me and discover new life and energy, lifting me into higher awareness and understanding of spiritual truth. In doing so, I leave behind that which held me in bondage. I leave behind that which held me in bondage. I rise above limiting beliefs, habits, and actions. With unwavering truth, I rise to accept inspiring new possibilities and the fullness of God's glorious life, love, and grace. And let's do that affirmation one more time. Together, I rise to accept new life and renewal.
Thank you, Russ. Okay. So, rise, that's obvious reasons we used that term. And I just kind of borrowed from the daily word, rise above. But you'll see in a moment what it is that we're getting to today. But first, let's just talk a little bit. Has anybody been reading along in the Let Go, Let God? I have been. You don't have to admit it or admit that you haven't been. But these things are really, they take the time to put them together. And there's always, not that everything and the way it's worded resonates 100% with me, but it's really good. I was telling Russ, I was surprised when I would flip through and I would read each day, but I would come up against something that I didn't really think I had going on that I needed to let go of. And I would go, well, I haven't felt that in a while, but clearly there's still a little bit of that residue of some uncomfortable feeling, something that I judge myself for feeling, something. And so there's a long list, and this is only a few of some of the things. But I think we've all had a little bit of resentment or pessimism or dissatisfaction. I highlighted those because those are pretty common in our race consciousness, just human beings, because of that reptilian brain always looking for some kind of thing to be concerned about so it can protect us. We kind of tend to lean on those things, but like I mentioned last week, all of those things that we use to judge others, to separate, and mostly to judge ourselves. You can look in here, it's all kinds of it. only separate us. Separate us from the truth of our own divinity, and especially separate us from those whom we look upon with that judgment. You know, we all have family members, and some of them are doing the right thing, and some of them are making other choices, but it's their life, and it doesn't do us any good to complain about them, to talk about them, to find fault with them. Because if we don't see the good in them, how will they ever see it in themselves? And I know it's not easy. I'm not saying it is easy to do, but it's a practice. It's something that if we begin with ourselves, letting go of those things, then we can bring it. So it's Easter, and I love how crazy Easter is. Don't you? Because, you know, in the Christian faith, it has a meaning attached to the life of Jesus and the end of the life of Jesus. But way before then, it was part of a pagan. Some of the symbols that are part of it. Ostara, the ancient Germanic goddess of the spring, transformed a bird into a hare. And that's where we got the Easter bunny. Isn't that funny? That the truth is, whenever the Christian organization, let's call it, decided to bring Christianity and the influence into the pagan communities, the pagans didn't want to give up their beautiful stories and their fun little images and their rituals. So they just had to adopt it in to make it okay. Now that's kind of cool, right? I mean, it's integration, but it has nothing to do with the Christian story. There weren't little bunnies hopping around Jerusalem that, you know, Jesus picked up and did something with. Now the white lilies are a little bit more straightforward. White is a color of purity, and you know, you've always heard lily being also a symbol of purity. But adopted into Christianity, it's the innocence of the Christ, not just the color of purity, but it's that Christ consciousness. And we know that you know, in the Hindu, the crown chakra is a color of white. Now, a baby lamb, of course, symbolizes sweetness, forgiveness, and meekness. Now, that's also, there's some descriptions that lean a little bit more on, you know, applying it to Jesus and some other Old Testament biblical things, but I didn't want to bring up all that horror this morning. And then, of course, the chick represents new life and new birth. And back to Ostara, you know why we have Easter eggs? Because the bunny, the bird that she turned into the bunny, laid colorful eggs for her to have at her big festival. So, I mean, it's just so, it's just crazy. It's just an interesting, but it's fun. And there's nothing wrong with having all of these experiences on Easter. It's a little bit more secular to have Easter Bunny and all that, but it also has its roots in a belief system. And again, whatever we believe is what's true. Well, let's talk about the Christian faith. The cross is a huge symbol, and it evokes a lot of different emotions from people. I had a friend years ago who was having some issues at work, and he was going to have a big meeting, and he was getting all worked up, and you know, somebody had advised him to put something in his pocket, a little talisman, a little something to just remind him that he was safe, and I said, well, and he went to a more conventional church. I can't recall exactly which one it was, but I said, well, what about get a little cross and put that in your pocket when you need to reach in there? He said, a cross? I don't want to be a martyr. And you know, that had never crossed my mind, that the cross, and I grew up Southern Baptist, but it just never soaked into me that the cross was a symbol of a martyr. And some people do really strongly attach that image to Jesus, but I never have. I've really always been infatuated with the Jesus that loves the little children guy. You know, that was my favorite one. But in unity, the cross actually is symbolic of the present moment. So the straight up and down, the vertical, is infinite. And we're all infinite, right? We all have always been here and will always be here. There's part of us that's expressing in this human 3D form, but most of us is everywhere else. This is just a little stream. Now, the horizontal part, which you can clearly see the ends of, is this finite life in the human experience. So that intersection, you know, the Bible says you're fully human and fully divine. So that intersection is your now experience. That present moment that's so powerful. If we can't fully live if we can't really be in this present moment. That's the beauty of it. So if that helps you to identify with the cross, but the actual crucifixion, the thing that happened symbolically last Friday, Good Friday, when the traditional Holy Week is Maundy Thursday, which observes the Last Supper, where Jesus is getting his disciples together to say, here you guys are going to have to carry on for me. And then on Friday, the Good Friday service is about the light going out, light being the Christ consciousness, and also Jesus's life in the historic Jesus. But the crucifixion, in unity terms, and Charles Filmer writes about this in Keeping a True Lent, the crossing out in consciousness of certain errors, and we say, I put in brackets what is traditionally called sins, error thoughts, or sins in the traditional sense, that have become a fixed state of mind. So that long list of things, the dissatisfaction and the criticism and the pessimism, those, if we're not mindful, can become fixed states of mind. They can kind of become who we are, and we don't even know it. But I can tell you that your friends and your relatives know it. When you're stuck in a pattern like that, you're wearing it. Whether you might think you're really positive and supportive, but just check in with a few friends and relatives. So it's also the giving up of the whole personality in order that the Christ mind may be expressed in all its fullness. So there's nothing wrong with being a personality, a human person. We call it the little s self. But your higher self is that what you express when you understand that there's something more going on. See, that's the paradox. I love it in unity. We embrace all the crazy paradoxes. I don't know why crazy is my favorite word today, but paradoxes hold within them, if you can hold both and, the creative power of tension. Because if you can hold the fact that I understand there's so much more going on that I'm not aware of, and I'm in this moment without dragging in the past or projecting into the future, that's a paradox, right? You're holding both of those thoughts at one time, but that is where you live your fullest life. In this present moment, understanding there's so much more going on. So again, the list of all these things, something that I dealt with recently is resistance. Sometimes, even though we feel limitation, we feel like we're somehow being held back, we are resistant to allowing for change in our life. Again, that's the old reptilian brain. Don't change anything, we're scared of it. Even if you're miserable, sometimes we just don't want to change, even though we're not happy with the way things are. But as human beings, and having dominion over our mind and our body, we can embrace change. We can let go of the criticism of the way things are, and we can trust and have faith that things... I want to tell you this story, because this is something the importance of this story, so the Holy Week, we talked last week on Palm Sunday about Jesus riding the colt, the baby of a donkey, and they put the palm leaves down. So they didn't stay in Jerusalem where everybody was having the big festival and paying taxes. He and his disciples were staying out away, and they were traveling every day on this road back and forth. So one day as they're walking in, Jesus is hungry and he goes over to a fig tree and there's no fig. And he's not happy. And he curses that fig tree. And two stories are told two different ways. In some ways it's told and that it withered right that minute. And some, they say they're coming back and by and the apostles pointed out to Jesus that, hey, look, that fig tree that you cursed is now dead. And here's the cool thing about it. Jesus didn't say, oh, my bad, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I'm ashamed of myself that I acted like that. No. Jesus said, yeah, that's what happens. And that's what happens when you do it too. And by the way, whatever you believe is what you get. So if you say to the mountain, move, it'll move. But he's trying to teach them. He didn't carry shame over having that moment. And my point in sharing this is, and I forgot to show you the withered one. But the point in this story is that we all have those moments. I mean, that Holy Week, boy, he flipped tables in the temple and he was not having a lot of stuff. It was a time of tension, great tension. He knew what was coming, but he was human and divine. More often, he could be in his divinity, but he also was in his humanity. So for us, when we have these things, we have this booklet. This is not to tell you you're all bad and you have all this terrible stuff going on. You need to shame yourself and feel terrible. Identifying with being human is important, because if you can give yourself grace, then you can give it to other people. So when you have a moment, because we all have and we all still will have a moment when we're not expressing divinity. Anybody had one of those moments anytime recently? If you're not expressing divinity, there are processes, right, to take care of that. You can apologize, you can make amends, you can do a lot of things to own responsibility for your behavior. But you don't have to carry it with you like, I'm such a terrible person that I spoke that way. I'm such a loser because I didn't make the right decision. Those moments, the thing about emotion, we feel our feelings and then we have emotions. Now Travis and I had this conversation. Emotions, feelings, emotions, which comes first? It depends, really. It's not always just one way. But they're meant to move through us like a breeze. Have you ever watched a small child? They're like playing and then they want something and then they throw this huge fit and then a balloon floated by. And then they're laughing. And if an adult does that, it's like, oh. But that's really what it's meant to do. Have that feeling, let it move through you, let it float off with the balloon. If you get it stuck in your body, that causes a disharmony, which can become dis-ease. I'm not saying that's the cause of every disease in the world, but you can, if you've ever looked at Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, she really can track, because she had this download of beautiful information. But when we hold on, and sometimes we can't help it. Sometimes we have a trauma and something happens and there's that fight, flight, or freeze, right? If you can fight or you can flee, you've got energy to move that through you. But if you're in a situation where you have to freeze, that energy can get frozen within you. So then there are practices that we can do, breath work and all kinds of different things. Meditation helps with that because we calm ourselves down and those things can be revealed. So I'm not saying there's something wrong with the things that you associate with in this booklet or any things that have come to mind. I'm just saying it's important that we do as it's been advised in this booklet and let it go. Not to say it never happened, but But you can let go of the attachment to it. Let go of the idea that, oh, I'm an angry person, or somebody else is an angry person. You know, my dad had a lot of ways of talking loudly, and, you know, he was an angry guy. But that wasn't all that he was. And when I have those moments when I remember his anger, I have to also make a choice. Go on in, Gail. Make a choice to remember also the loving, kind ways in which he expressed himself. So we have that choice. So the resurrection, so that's what we're celebrating with rising, right? We all can have a resurrection. Again, Charles Fillmore, in Keeping a True Lent, says the awakening and raising to spiritual consciousness of the I am in man, which has been dead in trespass and sin, which is error thought, and buried in the Lamb of materiality, not meaning materiality as in stuff, but in this 3D world, right? 5 senses. We get things buried in our 5 sense experience rather than allowing us to be beyond that. But it's the spiritual consciousness of the I am. And we can get to that when we release, when we let go of the judgments of choices that we've made, of ways that we've been, however we showed up before. We can make a new choice every day and all day. If you get up in the morning and you don't make that choice first thing, it's good to make it before your feet hit the floor, but if you forgot or you got up late, you can stop at any point and reset and release and move forward. So I'm introducing today a new Easter symbol for you. It's not traditionally an Easter symbol. It's the yin and yang of the Taoist tradition. And many of you are familiar with it. Yin and yang, light and dark, heaven and earth, masculine, feminine. The point of this symbol is balance, right? We're not any one thing. We're a balance of many, many things. And when we focus on balance, we move through our life more gracefully. So I'm gonna, before I invite Russ to come up and talk to you about our ritual, have you heard the story about the black wolf and the white wolf? Now, most people tell this in a kind of abbreviated way. So there's a Cherokee story. It comes from the Cherokee Nation of indigenous people of the U.S. And so the grandfather's talking to his grandson, you know, sharing wisdom, and he's talking about how within me I have a dark wolf and I have a white wolf. And they, you know, the black wolf is full of anger and resentment and all these things, but the white wolf is full of love and compassion. And they fight with each other. And he was telling the young boy, and they will fight within you as well. And the little boy's eyes got big, I'm assuming. And he said, but grandfather, which one will win? Now, most people tell this story and they end it right here. They say, the one that you feed. Now, that is a good point if you're trying to make that point. However, the traditional story is you have to care for them both. Because if you feed the white wolf, but you neglect the black wolf, he's just going to get hungrier and hungrier. And he's going to get more and more vicious because he's so hungry. So you have to have compassion for the black wolf. You have to have equal compassion for the white wolf and for the black wolf, because they both exist together. Does that make sense? And it's a better story to me than just if you feed the white one, you know. That's kind of a, I guess, sort of, what do they call it? Spiritual bypassing. That you just go straight to, oh, and then it's all good. Because it's hard. It's hard. It is hard to be positive all the time. 40 years ago, I read a book, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. Anybody read it? And I remember reading that chapter on being positive, and I was like, positive all the time? Yeah, that would be great, you know? Now I'm so annoying. But at that time, I didn't even know that I had more of a propensity for negative thinking. I didn't even realize it. But I do remember that moment so clearly, because I'm like, well, that seems ridiculous, but I really want that. And it was a while yet before I found unity. So I've also modified Martin Luther King's statement here. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. And I would say balance darkness, right? Darkness can't balance darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out or balance hate. Only love can do that. So we have to give our love and compassion to those things that are pulling us away. Before we get started, sorry Russ, I keep putting you off a little bit, but I'm going to share with you one of Shalane Harkin's poems, because she's got a new book that's coming out in the fall. Are you familiar with Khalil Gibran's The Prophet? She has reimagined it, The Prophetess, and it's been coming up some big publishing house. Anyway, this is called Deep Light. And so imagine for yourself this deep light. The world is hungry for a deep light that can only be harvested through our shadows. Our souls are hungry for a spirituality that allows the full range of our authentic being that doesn't exist on our shallow light, while cutting the depths of our darkness off at the knees. Our hearts are hungry for a feeling of home that allows all of us back in, even and especially our most exiled and condemned parts. Our most lawless and impoverished and impossible to control parts, our most disheveled, unkept parts that have never known how to be put together themselves, or how to gloss on a false smile. Our hearts are screaming for these parts of us to return with that kind of desperate love of a mother separated from her child. And our shadows are equally vulnerably and quaking with the desperate desire to be summoned home. I'll read that last part again. And our shadows are equally vulnerable and quaking with desperate desire to be summoned home. So we're not separating ourselves from our shadow today. We're embracing the shadow in the ceremony that we're about to step into with Reverend Russ. So Russ?
So each of you will get a small container with black pebbles. And these black pebbles, they represent the actions, the thoughts, the words that no longer serve us, that we've been holding on to and are ready to release in our lives. And we can call these our dark thoughts. And by dark thoughts, I mean those disappointments, those judgments, that lack, that limitation, the sorrow, the shame, the guilt, our prejudices, our disappointments, our whatevers that go with that you know that we've been holding on to, that's now time to release. So these are in some ways the resentments, but the dark thoughts that we've rejected, or we've suppressed, or that we've just not done anything to resolve yet in our lives. So we're going to take these pebbles, we're going to hold them in hand, and Reb Bev is going to take us into a meditation, and in that meditation, you're going to shift the energy within you to place them in these pebbles, so that these pebbles now hold that dark thought, and we have a way to release them, to give them freedom out of our life. And when you're ready, we're going to bring these pebbles forward, and we're going to add these pebbles here to our collective. Because all of us have shadow. All of us have these same thoughts and feelings and emotions in our lives. So we're not just healing ourselves, we're healing the collective as well. And then we'll take one of our nice tea candles. This will be lit and will represent our Christ candle, and we're going to light the Christ consciousness that is within us as well. And we're going to add that to these dark petals so that we're bringing compassion to the dark, because we're bringing that which is that Christ awareness, which is what love and hope and peace and forgiveness and compassion do it. Did I leave anything out?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yes, would you just pass those? Let people take one.
So I'm going to let Dave help pass those out, and then I'm going to do an opening and then pass the baton here to Red Beth and let her take us into the meditation.
And I was just going to say, with the pebbles, if you want to pour them straight into your palm, that's fine, but you don't have to. You can just hold them in the little container, make it easier to pour out. But whatever feels right to you. There are a few more over here, Dave.
Okay. Yes. And I'm going to stay up here, so for any reason you can get confused, I will help you whatever you need to do. So don't be concerned that you're going to do something wrong. I'll just come up here and this is a ritual. And if you understand ritual, there's no wrong in ritual. It's whatever you need to do to help release. In some ways, release what? That dark wolf, that black wolf, and to claim that white wolf. So there is balance in our lives. So with that, I'm going to light our Christ candle.
And like Russ said, there's no wrong way to do it. If you feel like dancing your way up here, or dancing your way away, or physically having some kind of movement, no judgment. Whatever feels like the right thing for you to amplify the movement of the energy and creating the space for the divine.
Yes, yes. So now I'd like for us to set our intention and to claim something. That which we are claiming is that this is sacred space. Not because we're in this building, because where two or more are gathered in my name, I am in the midst of them. That Christ consciousness is here now. And in our lives, this is a place of transformation and healing. And sometimes that healing is very clear. We just know the next right step to take, and it seems very common, and sometimes even very easy. And other times, that healing seems far away. We seem to be confused about where to go. But nonetheless, we do go, and something miraculous takes place. So today we're claiming in this sacred space that the common and the miraculous are here now, equally available to us. And that as we move into this ritual, this process, we're claiming that that sacred is alive in all of us. And thus, that common and that miraculous is here now. Us.
So if you will, just take your pebbles and hold them in your hand, and whichever way feels comfortable to you. And if you'd rather put them on the table and just know that they're there, that's good as well. This is your moment. Let's take a deep breath in together. And release. Bringing our attention to the pebbles. Allowing them to represent those little parts of us that we've said no to, that we've rejected, that we've been embarrassed by, that we've decided are just not what we want to be. And in this moment, we know that whatever that is and however it's expressed, we can't hide it. We don't want to deny it. We just want to accept and have compassion for the parts of us that express in ways that we've determined, we've decided, that we've named other. And with a deep breath in and a big release, we accept, we honor, and we have compassion for those parts of us. As we release, we just release the attachment. We know that it's still there as part of us, but where we put our attention is where we focus the growth. We give our compassion to these things within us. Allowing your, whatever it is within you, jealousy, resentment, criticism, self-criticism, withholding, whatever is true for you that feels like, oh, I'm done with that. I have compassion for myself in this moment, and I let it go. We'll take one more deep breath in, and as we release, we'll know that we are truly releasing whatever has come to mind for us in this moment. We give it our love and compassion. We give it our true divinity. Deep breath in. And release. We'll spend a moment in the silence, and as the music begins to play, feel free to get up whenever you feel comfortable and bring your pebbles and light your Christ consciousness light, and give it all your compassion.
myself. I will be gentle with myself, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart, and I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart, and I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the smallest part of me feels safe to go. I will only go as fast as the smallest part of me feels safe to go. see the beloved looking back at me. When I stand next to you, I can feel the beloved, feel the beloved in you. You are in my soul, you are my inspiration. With you in my heart, I am never alone. We are one. There is no separation. When I rest in you, I'm home. When I touch your heart, I feel the beloved, I feel the beloved touching me. And when I open my heart, I open to the beloved, to the beloved in you. You are in my soul, you are my inspiration. With you in my heart, I am never alone. We are one. There is no separation. When I rest in you, I'm home. When I touch your heart, I feel the beloved, I feel the beloved touching me. When I open my heart, I open to the beloved, to the beloved. Yeah, you can do that great. Beloved in you. Beloved in you. Oh, beloved, that's you. Oh, beloved, that's you. Beloved in you. When I look in your eyes, beloved in you, I can see the feeling. Beloved in you. When I stand next to you, beloved in you. Beloved in you. When I touch your heart, beloved in you. I can touch the beloved, beloved in you. When I open my heart, beloved in you.
We'll close
When I look in
knowing that in the words that are credited to our way shower, Jesus Christ, it is done. So I invite us to say that together. It is done. And God, Father, universe, the beloved, into your hands I commend my spirit. And it is done.
So it is. Thank you all for participating in that sacred ceremony. I'm going to give you one more of the poems, but it's short. The candles of ourselves. We are here to bring forth our light and hold the candles of ourselves to each other. And that's what we wish for you today on Easter Sunday and every day, to let your light shine. And this week, your weekly practice, your assignment, your homework is to practice that compassion for yourself. You can do an exercise in the mirror. We've all been familiar with those. But be still and let yourself know what it is that you need to let go of. And when it comes up, don't judge it. Know that it came up so that you can now say, I am beloved. And I do release. I let go. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being a part of this sacred service. And now we have an opportunity to give and to share with Unity of Little Rock. Dave is over here holding our offering basket. So whatever you have to give today, let's hold in our hands and say the offertory prayer. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I send it forth with my blessings and my love. Sending forth whatever it is you have to give with your blessings and your love is important. And sometimes it's acts of service. Those of you who've been really good lately of showing up and doing and cleaning up closets. And Russ gets a hand for putting beautiful flowers by the front door. He said it was a fairy, the Easter fairy, which is yet a new one for us. But we're happy that Monday, tomorrow, is self-care. Club with Brittany. Do you have anything to share with that about that, Brittany?
No, just come and join.
Did y'all come? And then Chris Johnson is doing Oneness Blessing meditation on Tuesdays at 7. If you need a new headshot, Angel right here. We all know Angel is doing a clinic, which is also a fundraiser for Unity of Little Rock, and she's doing that on Saturday the 13th. She will take an appointment, and her calendar is pretty flexible right now. If you need to squeeze it in at a certain time, be sure and make an appointment. If not, you can drop by. So either one, but you might have to wait. Next week, Jeannie's back, and our April theme is Into the Light. So we set the stage now for releasing, not releasing like rejecting that shadow, but we've released it into the compassion of our heart. And then of course Russ and I will be back on, and we're not squeezing Jeannie out here. She's doing some tutoring she mentioned to you, and it takes her out of town a few days a week. So let's close with our prayer of protection, and I've added in the I ams that we also are familiar with. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love. The power of God protects us. I am the power. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. So here we have it in song. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Have a great Easter.